Hey everyone, this is Matt Hendricks with the Sharpening Guy, and today I'm going to go over how to hold a consistent angle when you're sharpening and how to deal with the curve of the knife and what motion you should use and everything like that. And I'll cover it with a chef's knife like this, and then I'll also cover it with a narrower knife that has more curve to it, so because you have to hold those a little bit differently. So anyway, so for a knife like this, or whenever possible, you want to distribute pressure over the full width of the blade so that you can control the angle. So for instance here, I'm going to put my thumb down here on the blade, kind of near the edge, and then my index finger up near the top. So this way, when I'm sharpening, the blade can't really twist because these two fingers are locking it in place, right? Because I'm holding it like this, and then my three fingers go around the handle. Now, if I were to hold the blade to sharpen the other side, my index finger would be near the bottom of the blade, and my thumb is up near the spine like this. But again, my three fingers are up around the handle, and these two fingers lock the blade in so it can't twist like this. All right, so once you're holding the blade the right way like this, then you're going to lock this wrist into position and not let it move, not let it twist, anything like that. You're going to lock it into position, and then you're going to push from your shoulder, right? And you can push with your left hand too here, or your right hand if you're left-handed. But anyway, so I'm going to hold it into position like this, and then all the movement should come from my shoulder, because that way my wrist stays at a consistent angle and my blade stays at a consistent angle, but I can still move easily because it's coming from my shoulders. And this hand should actually technically do more pushing than the hand holding the blade. You can push with the hand holding the blade, but in reality, this hand should actually be doing more of the pushing, and this hand should be kind of guiding the knife along. So, and then when you flip it over, again, you can, by the way, do it ambidextrously like this if you want. But I always do it in one hand because I'm just better that way. So anyway, when you flip the blade over, then you're going to want to do the same thing. Lock your wrist in position so your wrist doesn't move, and then move from your shoulder. And also, if you're doing a motion like this, you're going to move from your elbow like this a little bit. Still, most of the movement comes from my shoulder, but my elbow does have to hinge a little bit going this way. Now, some people will hold the knife like this, so that, again, it's basically just like this. And you can do that too, but then when you get near this back part, you have to twist the knife and go this way, which I think for most people is a harder way to do it because it's harder to maintain the angle when the knife is completely perpendicular to the stone here. So I think it's easier if you rotate the knife back at 45 this way, so essentially just like it was here, only now it's here, and still go in and out like this. Or you could go in and out like that. You don't have to hold it at that much of an angle. But anyway, so that's kind of the basic motion, okay? Now, the thing is here, when we get near the tip of the knife, you'll see the tip curves. And so I'm not even making contact with the tip. And if I were to just lift it up, then I'd be at a way different angle. So what you want to do is imagine a geometric plane, okay, which is essentially a flat surface. Now, if you're sharpening your knife like this, right, or maybe you can see it better if it's like this. How can you see it best? We'll do it like this, right? So if your knife is on a geometric plane like this, to sharpen the tip, all you have to do is keep the knife on that same geometric plane to maintain the same angle, but rotate the knife back and the handle will come up a little bit just because essentially it's climbing that hill, right? And so that's how you're going to compensate for the tip. So if I'm sharpening like this, right, and I want to maintain the same geometric plane, this is going to happen, right? I'm going to rock forward on the tip, and at the same time, the handle is going to come up a little bit. Or if I was sharpening this way, right? I'm going to rock forward on the tip, handle's going to come up a little bit. But essentially, you just need to imagine that your knife blade here is like a plane, in that this plane never changes angle. So when you adjust for the tip, your knife blade should never change angle. You can change the position of your blade like this, but the blade itself should always be on the same plane as you move it like this, right? So that's the theory behind how you're going to keep a consistent angle. Now, one thing that I find helps is if you're sharpening, you know, like if you watch me sharpen like this, you know, I go pretty fast and I like cover the whole curve section at once and stuff like that. But if you're just starting out, first of all, go slower, right? Take your time. And secondly, when you get near the tip, don't try to do the whole section at once like this. Maybe say, okay, I'm going to do this back section of the knife, do this section of the knife, move your fingers, do this section of the knife, move your fingers, do this section of the knife, because wherever these fingers are pushing down, that's where you're really going to remove steel. This section, adjust a little bit. This section, adjust a little bit. This section, adjust a little bit. This section, adjust the angle, right? This section. And so that way, without having to try to do full sweeping motions like this, you can still take your time, say, okay, I'm still on the same plane. I want to remove steel here. Find the same plane, remove steel here. Find the same plane, remove steel here. And that way you can keep a lot more consistent angle before you have the skill to do it all at once like this. And of course you can do the same thing on this side where you sharpen one section, the next section, the next section, next section. And remember too, it's okay to go a lot slower like this. You don't have to go near as fast as I do. And anyway, so that will allow you to a lot more easily keep the same angle than, again, if you're just trying to do a full sweeping thing like that. Now, obviously, as you get better, then you'll naturally speed up and you can naturally compensate for the curve faster and easier and cover more of it at the same time. But in the meantime, there's absolutely nothing wrong with just sharpening a little section then moving along like that. Because that way you can really focus on getting the right angle, putting the pressure where it needs to be, and you can go slow enough that you can maintain that angle. So anyway, as far as the chef's knife is concerned, that's kind of the basic gist of it. Now, the other thing is if you have a smaller knife, so say like this knife, right? It's narrower. Well, I can't really put my fingers like that because there's not enough blade. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to pinch the blade, and when I'm sharpening this side, I'm going to pinch it like this, right? And then wrap my 3 fingers around. And I'm still going to do everything else the same. I'm going to lock my wrist in. I'm going to move from my shoulder, everything like that. I'm going to still compensate for the tip the same way by keeping the blade on the same plane as I rotate it towards the tip. And you can still even do this blade in sections if you want, just like I did with the other blade. When you hold it on the other side, instead of pinching it like this, you're going to turn it and pinch it like this. And then you can do the other side like that. So that's all there is to holding a knife where you can't do this, because this is preferable. You just pinch it like that. And so, you know, a lot of paring knives or even pocket knives or some hunting knives or stuff like that, you might have to hold like this, and that's fine. Now, the other thing is if your blade has more of a curve to it, right? Because the chef's knife I was showing didn't have a whole bunch of curve to it. It's still just the same thing. You still keep it at the same angle. It's just now, instead of adjusting a little bit, to adjust for the curve, you're going to have to come up a lot like this. So it's still important to make sure that your knife stays at the same plane or the same angle, but essentially it's just going to be a bigger adjustment. And again, if you need to, you can do that in sections. And then as you get better, you know, you can still do the whole thing at once, just like I was doing with the other knife. So anyway, I hope that answers your questions about how to keep a consistent angle, you know, move from your shoulder, lock your wrist in, everything like that. How to hold various types of knives. And also, like on a medium width knife like this, like here, this handle protrudes enough, I can put my thumb down there, my finger up there, and that works pretty well. But going the other way, I don't really have room to get my index finger down here, and that's uncomfortable. And so I tend to hold it like this, going this way, and this going the other way. But anyway, you understand the two ways to hold it, so use whatever is best given the knife. But anyway, so hopefully now you understand the motion, how to keep a consistent angle, how to keep the knife in the same plane, right? And if you need, you can either even get yourself something and hold it up, say, okay, I'm gonna adjust, and then sharpen that part, adjust again, sharpen that part. And anyway, keep a consistent angle throughout the whole blade while you're sharpening, because while it doesn't matter near as much what exact angle you use, as long as it's low enough, it does matter that you are consistent about it. And, you know, obviously, if you do, you'll be able to look at your bevel and see you have a nice clean bevel. So anyway, I hope that helps. Thanks for watching.